Hello everyone, this is Mr.arorora. In today's episode, we will not make a tutorial, instead we will go through the process of creation a custom jewelry box. So, it is somewhat a tutorial, but at the same time, the tomorrow's episode is put at the beginning, and the later on you will see the sculpting and other tools, for example using lines, Bezier curves, as another form of sculpting. For example, you create a Bezier curve, you give it shape, depth, and geometry, and afterwards you sculpt it. It is a very simple trick and makes your life much more easier while sculpting and modeling in Blender. So, what we did first is we imported a head to use as a reference. So we are doing a custom work. As sometimes you don't need to follow everything but to the line or design. Sometimes you need to let go and do something that inspires you and do it with passion instead of following a rule, a guide. This is a passion project. The main point I'm making here is I'm designing a gift for someone very special to me in my life, and I'm going to give them a necklace. Also, I would love to give them a some little gift that they can put their necklace on top of it. And while modeling it, I said, well, Aurora, we are modeling something for someone special and we are going to give them something. Why not make it more useful than a glorified statue? So, we're making a jewelry box for her trinkets and other things that she wants to put in there. It's a surprise, and this was the reveal. So, you're joining me on this journey of creation. One of the main reasons I create and model, I love giving gifts, and it it makes my life much more special because I'm capable of crafting something like this. And using my skills to do something like this allows me to be creative. And that's the whole point, being creative. And I love being creative and I love sharing this creativity with people that I care. Not just customers, employees. This can be for anyone in your life. So, what I did here is I created a simple shape, a cube. Then I carved a hole in it. Afterwards, I used the hole to create the other geometry, the drawer I wanted. So at this stage of the modeling, we are just creating silhouettes, shapes, instead of whole thing. We slowly but surely add on details, characteristic, loops, cuts, and we use other methods. For example, I started creating this jewelry box just hard surface modeling. Why? Because I want to create something that fits into each other and doesn't break or destroy itself while it does that. So I make sure that it has gaps to fit between each other and it carries the design forward. For example, at this stage, we really have a rudimentary drawer. It is simple, bare boned, and unappealing. But slowly but surely, we add loops, loop cuts, we adjust geometry, we put cuts, we extrude, we bevel, we use other stuff in Blender, we delete faces, then we create new faces and geometry. So we let go of all the plans we have and just roll with what we have in mind. So what you're seeing is a drawer and there's a neck coming out of it. The main idea behind it, I want to create a necklace part that I could put my necklace on top of it. And at the end on top of it have two little foxes. And afterwards we delete the head that we put there because it's done its purpose. I wanted something to visualize what I'm going through. We will remove the head part, and we make sure that the neck part and the jewelry box are two separate pieces, because at the end of the day we are going to print them. And in order to do that, we need to be able to fit these parts into the printer. And not every printer is going to be able to print like something like this in a single part. Later on, we will decide how to divide it and how to put it together. And you will see in the process as well. So, as you can see, we use geometry, we use loop tools. And if you check what I do at the left side of the corner, you can see what buttons I use to shape, bevel. I always tend to use some shortcuts at this hard surface modeling stage. But later on, when you're sculpting, you need to have some sense of creation and a workflow. It is not something that I can teach nor explain in just few sentences. What I mean is learning sculpture. Learning how to sculpt is learning how human body looks or how shapes flow with each other. You basically need to get some dirt and or clay or even dough in your hands and knead it. And when you're doing that, you get the idea. When you push your fingers through a soft object, it will move. And you get a taste for it. How can I explain this to you in better terminology? When you examine your own body and your own features, or an animal, when you pet an animal, you can feel the shape of its skull, how its cheeks have fat, and it is connected to the bone. So there's something solid underneath and hard on the surface. And that gives you an idea what you can do. Everybody knows what a skeleton looks like. Then imagine you put some clay on top of that skeleton. It doesn't exactly look like a person because there is body fat, muscle, ligaments, and other stuff. So you examine these things. You open references, you open character sheets, or you examine a model or your own self from a mirror. I'm sorry. And you see how shapes occur in front of your eyes. For example, your shoulders. A sphere connected to a cylinder, then another blocky shape, then another sphere, and at the end of the sphere, you extrude it until you get a wrist, and at the top of the wrist, there's a hand. And in order to create a hand, you see the hard shapes of the skeleton because we have less fat in our hands. So the shape of our hand is determined by our skeleton and ligaments in our hand. And when you move your hand, you can see how soft tissue moves as well. So that's how you get an idea of human shape or human body. When we examine some animalistic features, for example, there's a reference. When a creature is more rounded, soft looking, it is going to make you feel calm and relaxed around it because a sphere is a safe shape. It doesn't have sharp corners or angles. And when you look at an aggressive animal, for example, a tiger, a lion, you see sharp shapes and lines all around the animal and definition of its muscles. how it moves, how it acts, and that's that shapes and that animal, because of its appearance, it creates a feeling of fear in our animalistic nature and mind. So this is how and why I model, because using shapes and characteristics, you can tell a lot of things. There's a terminology in cinema: show, don't tell. And when you're a sculptor, that's everything you can do. As an artist, you're as a visual artist, let me say it and phrase it like this, because there's tons of way of creating art. But at the core of it, depending on your degree or major or what kind of art you're doing, you need to represent and show something. It might be your voice, it might be your clothing, it might be your tattoos. But in modeling and drawing, you give character life by giving it detail. And in order to do that, you need to learn anatomy, shapes, colors, lots of things. And when you say it like this, it feels and seems hard. But at the core of it, you just need to know some things. And one of them is not giving up. Because when you're creating art and anything akin to that, you need to be patient, because art takes time and years. Recent thing I am seeing in this generation is relying on pre-made stuff too much. That be using AI. I hear many people say, "Oh, I'm not capable of creating art, and because of that, I'm using AI." You can do that. I'm not your boss, your father, your parent, but in my opinion, you don't need AI to create art. You just need to have some passion, and the rest the rest is easy. You will learn by failing, by drawing bad lines, making little mistakes, and that will cause you to give up so easily, but it shouldn't. Making mistakes and drawing bad at first, even I while saying that, I feel bad, because I don't believe that. Because any drawing that you put effort and passion into deserve to live and deserve to be seen. Because of that, we create art. At least the reason for me is that. As you can see, I try to create a fox there and I fail. Instead of giving up, I decided to put that later on. And I decided to move on by creating a Gothic style box. And while doing that, you will see me fail many times, because I'm trying something I didn't try beforehand. These nodes, this geometry shapes, and using Bezier curves, I'm not good at it at all, period. But the thing is, we try, and that's the most important thing when creating something like this, because you do it out of passion, out of love. This can be for love for yourself, love for anybody else, love for animals. Everything we do needs passion. And when you mix it with love, you create masterpieces. And one thing for sure, not every art is going to be seen. That's the dark side of our reality. Even the greatest masters died without knowing that one day they will be so important to art community. One of the biggest examples of that is Van Gogh. He believed that his art means nothing. At least what I have learned or what I've read or what I have remembered correctly. Don't don't listen to me for art advice, or I mean listen to me, but don't listen to me for using me for a reference for history check. History. That's what I try to say. Anyhow, and even those masters like Van Gogh, he believed that he's not going to succeed, but he tried. He even tried to sell his art just for a meal, a basic meal in a bar. And at the end of the day, he died without ever meeting anyone that he appreciated his art, the colors he bring to the art, or the pain and torment he brought out with his detail and characteristics of painting he did. And because of that, he will forever be a master of art, and he will be remembered because he tried, even though he didn't succeed whilst he's alive. He succeeded after his death. But he didn't stop because he could create, and he decided to create instead of doing anything else because that was his passion. That was his driving motive. That was his life. So that's what he did until the day he died. Maybe he died sad, but at the end of the day, he did what he loved. And that's worth living every single day. If you're doing something that you're passionate about and you love what you're doing, that's a wonderful life, and that's a very rich life. So never give up on doing art and doing something like this, because modeling, drawing, illustrating, animating, all of these are just tools to tell stories or express ourselves in so many ways. We became artists, became designers, we became us because of our passions, our interests. And of course, there's another saying: an artist is only an artist long as he can eat, or long as he has money, or she has money, or they, them, doesn't matter. But that's the hard part of life. We will not succeed, and even that is the art of living. Even life becomes art because you, against all odds, decide to live and survive instead of giving up. So, one of the main reasons we do art, people like me, and when we want to give it to someone else, this is one of the main reasons. This is our emotions in a picture, in a frame, in a moment, or moments. So, thank you all for watching this episode and joining me in this creation and journey of creation. Maybe this wasn't what you're expecting while watching this video, but it is what it is now. I will leave it to that and let you watch through the process of creation and how I sculpted. And as you can see, that you will be able to see what I'm doing, even though I'm not going to explain everything, because I think that will kill the purpose of this episode. So I wanted to try something new and something different instead of me speaking only the terms of modeling, designing, or explaining stuff. So thank you all for joining me today and watching this episode, or this is your first episode. Welcome. This is Mr. Aurora, and here we create and we put our emotions, and at the end of the day, we bring them to life as 3D models, as animations, as stories, or as frames. So, thank you again for joining me. I will take my leave at this moment, but if you go through the whole process, you will see how will this model, after sculpting and creating the model and slicing it for printing, maybe you will enjoy the model and the creation process. Maybe you will agree with me. You can always go to the comment section and tell me about it, and we can discuss it, discuss about our feelings, emotions, or why you didn't like my video or why you like it. So, thank you all. See you in the next episode. And all those Warhammer nerds out there, I am looking for you. We will create our chaplain and bring justice to this Imperium. Stay safe and stay awesome. Bye.